Hey everybody, welcome, welcome to Hidden Horror. Thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate that. Let's get started.
Clad in an orange jumpsuit and handcuffs, Bryan Kohberger was whisked by sheriff's deputies in the early morning hours Sunday to a waiting plane. Arriving 90 minutes later in Boise, Idaho, at this county jail, inside one of those SUVs. Some 300 miles away from the site of the brutal murders of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, the University of Idaho students found fatally stabbed in their off-campus home. Kohberger, charged with the grisly crimes almost 2 years ago, for which the judge pleaded not guilty on his behalf, receiving a new booking photo and a new venue in Boise.
State of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger.
Following a high-stakes week in the case, where a Latah County judge granted the request from his attorney.
Factually, the most difficult decision I've ever had to make.
The judge citing concerns about a prejudiced jury pool after years of heavy media coverage in a tight-knit and insulated community, and also a lack of resources to stage a trial of this magnitude. Kaylee Gonsalves' parents telling NBC News they'll go wherever the trial takes place and are at least pleased that a new judge now assumes control.
If we got to go to Boise, we go to Boise, but we're not going to be quiet about it and go get us a real judge that knows how to get this stuff done.
The new judge assigned by the Idaho Supreme Court, the Honorable Stephen Hippler, has pointed to recent high-profile cases in Ada County as proof they're up to the task of a Kohberger murder trial.
And Sam joins us now. Sam, what's next in terms of court proceedings?
Sure, Lester. So the next scheduled hearing is November the 7th. That is the defense's motion to take the death penalty off the table. Then June 2nd is the scheduled start of the murder trial. But because there's a new judge in this case, that is all within his discretion. Lester.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
So welcome everybody. Welcome to Hidden Horror. That news clipping was provided by NBC News. It was an exclusive. It was titled Exclusive. Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger transported to Boise. How's your Saturday going, everybody? I hope everything's going good. See, I got some dust. My apologies for the dust. I wanted to jump right in on this case, what's going on. I'm here to bring you somewhat of an update. We know that the Bryan Kohberger prosecution was transferred from Latah County to Ada County. Now, we know there's a new venue, of course, and a new judge assigned. The new judge is Stephen Hippler. In my prior video, I talked a little bit about him, but now I want to go in a little bit more. How do you feel the case was handled in Latah County? And I'm going to check comments today just to see if you feel anything, because I think there may be some major changes coming. I was learning over this past weekend that Judge Stephen Hippler, he has provided some new courtroom, if you want to call them rules or procedures or the plans moving forward. He has made some changes. He's saying that the seating, for example, it will be reserved for witnesses, for family, for the defense and the prosecution, the victims' families, and also if there's some space for media. So does this mean that they're going to be able to televise these hearings? Because from what is written and what's been provided, they're not going along with the past. They're setting a new precedent. This is a new courtroom. This is Judge Hippler's case moving forward, and he's making some changes. So I am wondering when they're going to determine if this case, if it goes to trial, if the trial is going to be televised. I'm interested to know that. So he's laying out some changes on how things are going to be handled, and I love it. I love the structure. I love the plan. I like that there's going to be accountability, and he's going to stay on task. Now, again, we do not know if all of the deadlines that were set when the case was in Latah County, if those will be able to be transitioned over to Ada County. There may be new deadlines. There may be different start times that are set because now we're in a new county with a new judge, with a new entire case docket, as I've said before, which is common sense, right? It makes perfect sense. So we don't know if the Bryan Kohberger trial, if it goes to trial, is going to start in June of 2025. That is what was initially anticipated, but we don't know that for sure. Now, let's move on and let's get to what I'm here for today. So, if you did not know, in Latah County, William Thompson, he was the lead prosecutor on the case. All of this time, throughout all of the hearings, all of the cross-examination, the motions, he's been the lead prosecutor. So Mr. Thompson, I noticed his name was not included on the notice for the next hearing. The next hearing is a status conference hearing, and that's pretty much a hearing where everybody appears, they come together, they talk about the plans and the schedule for the case. What is the status of the case? And are they going to revisit some of the set deadlines, right? Well, that's just one part of it. But for William Thompson to not be included on the certificate of service. The certificate of service is the notice of who was serviced, who was provided the notice in the case, and these would be the professionals. This would be the attorneys for the prosecution and also the attorneys for the defense, i.e. Ann Taylor and i.e. Bill Thompson, for examples. So Bill Thompson's name is not on there. I'm wondering if, now just hear me out in my thinking. Did they feel, and when I say they, I'm really referring to the Idaho Attorney General Office, did they feel that there needed to be some new leadership? And this is the perfect opportunity. The case has been transferred from Latah County to Ada County. Now, are they placing new leadership to head the prosecution? Because that's what it looks like to me. I don't know. I'm not sure, but they can assign a special prosecutor in the case. Now, from past information, we know at one point, I believe it was in 2023, the U.S. Attorney General has been receiving 2 attorneys assigned and getting information. So all of the services, the certificate of service is showing these 2 prosecutors, these 2 special prosecutors from the Attorney General Office for Idaho on the case. Now I'm going to read an article about that, and then I want to talk about the significance of what I feel we have major changes coming. And what does this mean? What does this all mean for the case? So let me get to the first article. It's an older article, but it's going to indicate what happened and when it happened. Let me pull it up here. Now it's on crim.com. It's titled, 2 attorneys from Idaho AG office join prosecutors in Kohberger case. This article is dated April 26, 2023, and it's by Selena Van Heinig. Deputy Attorney General Jeff Nye and Deputy Attorney General Ingrid Batey have been appointed to assist in the prosecution of 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger. The Deputy Attorney General from the Idaho Attorney General's AG office have been appointed to help prosecutors in the University of Idaho student homicide case. According to court documents, Deputy Attorney General Jeff Nye and Deputy Attorney General Ingrid Batey have been appointed to assist in the prosecution of 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger, the man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students last November. Latah County prosecutor Bill Thompson said he is seeking assistance from Idaho's AG office in order to utilize the expertise and additional resources of the Office of the Attorney General. So he's saying, I'm going to tap in to those additional resources, their expertise, their experience. They have prosecuted cases in the past, and this could help me. This is a huge case. It's 4 deceased, 4 murder, and I need some assistance, okay? Nye has more than a decade of experience working in the legal system. He served as a legal intern for both the United States Attorney's Office and the U.S. Department of Justice, DOJ. He also worked as an adjunct professor at the Concordia University School of Law and the University of Idaho College of Law, according to his LinkedIn profile. During his time at the Idaho AG's office, he has served as the Deputy AG of the Appellate Unit, the Lead Deputy AG of Special Prosecutions, and the Chief of the Criminal Law Division. Batey has been working in the legal system since 2016. She worked as a law clerk in the 3rd Judicial Court of Idaho before becoming the deputy prosecuting attorney in Canyon County, Idaho in 2017. Oh, that was a huge promotion. It's a huge promotion. Okay. She now serves as the lead deputy attorney general of special prosecutions for the Idaho AG's office. She also attended the University of Idaho College of Law and graduated summa cum laude, according to her LinkedIn profile. The suspect's arraignment for the 4 murders is scheduled to begin on June 26, 2023. So I wanted to share that article because I want to get into what I may feel is they're changing this case. They're changing how it was prosecuted, and moving forward, things aren't going to be like it was. Now, my interest is, are we going to keep having all of this time wasted, right? So I don't know if Ann Taylor was on like her 15, 16. I stopped following those motions for evidence a long time ago, but if the Attorney General is stepping in and they're going to prosecute this case, possibly, will things change? I know there was a deadline for September. I think it was September 1st for the prosecution. So that would be when William or Bill Thompson was handling the case in Latah County. That was the time frame that he had to turn over all of this evidence. So does that still apply? We're in a new county, we have a new judge, and this is part of the status conference. You know, are they going to discuss these things? Was that evidence, documentation, witness information, all of that provided to the defense in that September? It was early September deadline that has passed. Was that done? Or are we going to look at, do we need to set new deadlines and maybe even push the trial back further, because now we have this change of venue, we have a new judge, and now we're getting new court rules, new court procedures, how we're going to handle things, how we're going to handle the media, how we're going to handle seating, how things are going to proceed going forward. And all of that matters because, as I have always said, will this Bryan Kohberger case go to trial? If the Attorney General is now stepping in, or a new set of prosecutors are now stepping in, because in the reality, Latah County and Ada County, they appear to be about 3 to 4 hours difference. That would be pretty taxing for the prosecutors to travel, to commute, or stay in a hotel as this trial is progressing, or I guess they could do a lot of things through Zoom, but that is not always efficient. Sometimes you want people present in the courtroom for certain issues, certain hearings. So it's important that you also have people with the capability of being physically present. But my thing is, how is that going to affect the case? Is that new leadership, whether that be from a special counsel now being assigned or a new set of prosecution attorneys, how is the evidence going to be handled? What is the evidence? Is there adequate evidence? We didn't have a preliminary hearing. We had a federal grand jury indictment. So is that evidence adequate? Is it relevant? Is it accurate? Can we proceed? Is there enough evidence to prove that Bryan Kohberger is the suspect, is the one that committed these heinous, very violent crimes? And we already know there's a ton of information out there with many, many other options. But will this new leadership, will they look at the evidence differently? Will they consider, are they just going to move forward and take over the case? Or are they going to look at, what are the witnesses saying? What is the physical evidence? How was this whole entire case from inception? How did it unfold? How was the evidence processed? How was it preserved? How was the cast report done? You can't take a screenshot. You have to be able to recreate, to demonstrate how you got that information. It's so many things. We have conflicting information. We have Cyray that's going to show and demonstrate that Bryan Kohberger was nowhere near the scene, but then the prosecution is saying that he was in the area 12 times, which we still don't know what that means. We don't have dates. We don't know how close it is. We don't know if he was at the house, in the house, near the house, a mile away from the house, 2 miles. We have no idea. So all of that, to me, before and when a case is taken over, you have to familiarize yourself, catch yourself up. Now, they've been involved in the case for about almost a year and a half. I don't know how actively they were looking at the evidence as this case began and proceeded with all these hearings. I was particularly surprised, and I think a lot of people were surprised, even when they were talking about the survey and the prosecution, they didn't have any alternative information. They just said, well, we shouldn't have it, but they didn't really give any real supportive reasons why. They didn't have a prepared way to handle Cyray and what he was purportedly saying about the use of the cell phones and things like that. Maybe the upper parts of the Idaho state, maybe they feel that they needed to come in and take over the case and look and review this case, see where is this evidence leading? Is there evidence? Is it accurate? Is it indisputable? You know, can it be torn down? I think particularly because you have some witnesses that do not want to testify, they're reluctant to, they didn't want to during the time when we thought there would be a preliminary hearing. All of that should come into play, into their minds, into their consideration. Are they willing to testify? Are they going to come forth? Are they going to plead the fifth? Are they not going to answer questions? Are they going to fail to appear? You have to think about it all. You have to consider it all. I feel that because not just Bill Thompson name wasn't listed, there was no other person listed. There was no other prosecutor listed, whether that be for Latah or Ada counties. So does that mean that now these two Idaho Attorney General Special Prosecutors, are they taking over the case now because they received the notice, but no one else did for the prosecutor side? So that is my concern. That's my interest. I want to know, are they taking over this case? And if so, are they going to take the time to really build out this evidence, this information, this theory that Bryan Kohberger is the suspect, that he did it? And not just that he did it, we can prove that he did it, and there's not going to be any reasonable doubt, right? Because in all reality, I mean, I have belabored this issue, this topic, and I'm going to go over the individual 3 hearings, 3 sets of videos again to go over everything again. But in reality, you know, I just don't feel that there is enough evidence at this time to pursue Bryan Kohberger unless there's some type of bombshell that we don't know about, and that's possible. But usually you're going to put some of your stronger evidence in your PCA, that PCA of Brett Payne, or you're going to present that to the grand jury for that indictment. And I just don't see it. The evidence has been falling apart pretty bad. So that's something that I'm thinking about. So I want to go to another article to get more information into this detail. So this article is by crim.com. It's titled Bryan Kohberger to appear in first Ada County court hearing on September 26th. So in the first video I showed you how they transported Mr. Kohberger from Latah County to Ada County. That was by plane. That was about a 90-minute ride for him. So now we have a current picture of Bryan Kohberger, and he's in Ada County. Okay, so this article is going to pick up there and tell us what do we have to look forward to at this hearing, this status conference hearing on September 26th. Okay, the article is written by Emily Apple and is dated September 19th, 2024. The man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students has been moved to Ada County Jail and is set to appear in court next week. Bryan Kohberger is set to make his first appearance in Ada County for a hearing on Thursday, September 26th at 2 p.m. The Idaho Supreme Court appointed a new judge and transferred the trial set for June of 2025 to Ada County after a ruling from 2nd District Judge John Judge, who said extensive media coverage of the case, the spreading of misinformation on social media, and statements by public officials made it doubtful that Bryan Kohberger could receive a fair trial in the university town of Moscow, Idaho. All hearings and other proceedings in the case will be held at the Ada County Courthouse in Boise before 4th District Judge Stephen Hibbler. Now, I believe that because the city of Boise is the largest city in the state of Idaho, and also the U.S. Attorney General Office for the state of Idaho is also in Boise, I think this is a perfect match. I think this will be good for proximity. I think that some new people taking over, maybe we can move this case along in whatever direction. Maybe we can move forward on all of these requests for evidence. Maybe we can resolve some of these issues that have kind of plagued us, like just even getting the venue changed. It should not have taken all of that. They really didn't have the resources and space. In Latah County, in Ada County is saying we have what is needed. We have the experience to do it. We're going to fund it. And we can take care of this case and move it along through the system. Because again, we're approaching 2 years of the deaths of Zaina Kernodle, Kaylee Gonclaves, Madison Mogen, and Ethan Chapman. These are the important people to remember, and that they deserve justice. And if it's not Bryan Kohberger, for example, what can be done moving forward? You guys already know how I feel. But what can be done to figure out who killed the 4 Idaho 4 students in their home at 1122 King Road? And that's if the murders even happened there, right? We don't know. The law enforcement there They really messed this case up. The coroner, I'm not even going to get into all of that. But anyway, let's move forward. All hearings and other proceedings in the case will be held at the Ada County Courthouse in Boise before 4th District Judge Stephen Hippler. New courthouse and courtroom conduct orders have been issued for the case following the move to Ada County. And that's normal. You got a new judge, new venue, his rules, how things are going to be handled, how he wants the courtroom to run. All of that is very significant because those are going to be changes, okay? The orders address use of cameras and cell phones in the courtroom, public seating, and access to court hearings. According to court documents, public seating will be based on a first-come, first-served basis. Subseating will be reserved for the victims and defendants' families, counsel, and security personnel. Additionally, no entry or re-entry will be permitted while the court is in session. So all of this is pretty typical. You know, they do want to have some space for the victim's family, also the defendant's family, and then they're going to especially have space for the courtroom staff like security, counsel. They're going to have some space for a witness. And then at the very bottom, it's going to be the media. And that's just how it goes. But he also ordered that anything that happened in the past relating to these issues, all of that is null and void moving forward. These are now what is in place going forward in his courtroom, okay? The new orders no longer prohibit emailing or posting written information from within the courtroom, but recording video or sound and taking photos remain prohibited. And that's pretty common. They do not want you to be using your phone, taking video or photos. And if you do, you have to ask for permission prior to doing it. You can't just do that, okay? And it says that public court hearings will be live streamed on the Idaho 4th District Court YouTube page. I've tried that page. I don't know if it's down. They say you can subscribe, but there's no other information. So maybe that will be looked into before the status conference on September 26th, because that's pretty important. People do want to see these hearings, and televising that is very helpful, especially if any of the victims' families, they want to view it, but not necessarily be present in the courtroom during these hearings, okay? Trying to think, is there anything else I need to say about this case? I talked about the transport. I talked about the planning, the changes in the courtroom. I did bring up a little bit about the two prosecutors. You know, are they taking over the case? They were on the certificate of service as receiving service. William Thompson is not. Also, no other person is not. So are they going to step in as the special prosecutors? And also, what does that mean? What does it mean? And let me show you too what I'm talking about. Now, I just took some quick shots. So let me show you. I need to go up. There they are. So as you can see, it's kind of blurry because I'm stretching it. I can't make it smaller, but it's just showing you that, okay, now the hearings are in Ada County, and this is the notice saying that the status conference is going to be on Thursday, September 26th at 2 o'clock in front of Stephen Hippler. And then the second part is right here where the certificate of service is. It was to Jeffrey D. Nye and Ingrid Christina Batey. This is the Attorney General's office. That's where they work. And then of course we have Elisa Massoff and Ann Taylor on behalf of the defense. So that's what I was describing. I just wanted you to see that. What does that mean for the case? My hope is when we have experienced prosecutors leading this case. This case will be moved along. That's important, especially for the family. They've been patient, and again, we're going into 2 years come November 13th, 2024. And also, are they going to be more thorough? Are these motions to turn over evidence will be resolved? And also, overall, can we see this case, if it goes to trial, will that trial be in June of 2025? Will everyone be prepared? Will all of the information be examined, processed? We have the results. We have the preparation of the witnesses, the expert witnesses, all of that. You know, we do want to see some conclusion, not just on behalf of the victims and their families, but also on behalf of Bryan Kohberger and his family, because as the time have gone on and all of the information that has come out, people are tending to believe that Bryan Kohberger is not the assailant, and moreover, that he may have been set up. So with no comments, I'm going to wrap this video up. I'm going to thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. I'm going to keep following this case, of course. How could I not, right? Okay, so thank you for spending this time with me. Continue to stay safe, smart, and savvy. Be well, all my friends. Have a wonderful afternoon. Bye, everybody. Bye.